Tigers. How to hunt Bengal tigers. I'm pretty sure that is a question that a lot of you may be asking now that Sundarpatan has been released. So in today's video I'ma show you how to hunt and where to find the Bengal tigers here on Nepal. I'ma show you everything you need to know in order to be able to hunt these guys, including what I consider is the best loadout to hunt them, as well as all the locations where it's possible to find them. So first of all, we're gonna start by talking about the Bengal tiger as a species. You know, the Bengal tiger is a class 9 animal that goes up to level 9 legendary and makes diamond with a score of 27. These tigers are undoubtedly the most dangerous animal we currently have on this game because they are able to stalk us and then kill us with a single blow in just a matter of seconds. You have to pay very close attention to any growl or roar you hear because when these tigers are about to attack and they are starting the stalking animation, they make a growl. And once you hear that growl, you can be sure that you are in trouble. You are only gonna have a few seconds to spot the tiger before it launches its fatal attack. Now, one thing you can do to make the task of surviving a tiger attack much easier is to bring a dog with you. You know, the dogs are super useful in these cases because once the tiger starts the stalking animation and it starts getting close to you, there's a chance the dog will spook it. And even if it doesn't spook it, the fact the dog will start barking once the tiger starts to approach you is already a game changer because a lot of times the tigers won't make any growl or sound until they are literally just a couple seconds away from striking. So yeah, bringing a dog with you can definitely be very helpful to avoid being killed by these monsters. They are truly dangerous. Although certainly the most important thing when it comes to be able to defend yourself from these tigers or simply to be able to kill them is the weapon. So as for the loadout I like to use to hunt them, first of all I like to carry the 470 rifle for those close range encounters. You know, this is a very powerful rifle that is capable of dropping a tiger in just a couple seconds with a double lung, and it is certainly the perfect self-defense weapon for whenever you get attacked. Another weapon I like to carry is the semi-automatic 300 for the kind of shots that otherwise wouldn't be possible with the 470, like for example long-range shots above 150 meters, and I think it is needless to say that regardless of which weapon you choose, make sure to aim to the lungs right behind the shoulder. Just like that. You know, something important and interesting about these tigers is that in contrast with the majority of the species that probably have populations in the hundreds, these tigers are very scarce. We know officially that there are only 16 of them per map. So coming across these guys is definitely something that doesn't happen too often when roaming around the map. However, fortunately for all the tiger fans out there, these guys have a drink time, from 400 to 700 in the morning. And that is a huge advantage because obviously during that period of time all 16 tigers will get close to a water source in order to drink, and that massively reduces the amount of places you have to check in order to find them since they are gonna be close to the lakes and rivers that exist within their home range. So before we go over any specific locations, first of all let's take a look at what is the tiger home range. You know, the tiger home range is limited exclusively to the bottom half of the reserve, essentially the entire Terai region, which is this lower region, and the bottom half of the Bahat region. This area is the home of the 16 tigers that inhabit this reserve, and of course the majority of the bodies of water inside it are able to have tiger drink zones. Although it is important to mention that even though each of these lakes and even the river have a chance to have tigers while they are drinking, you are only gonna have a drink zone on a few of them. And the reason for that is simply because each map is different. I mean, my zones are not gonna be exactly the same as your zones, they are not gonna be on the same locations, but what is actually the same is the home range. The home range of the animal is the same on every single map, so the lakes where they could potentially be drinking are the same for everyone. Obviously you are not gonna have a tiger on all of these red areas since there are only 16 per map, but you can be sure that each of these places has a low chance of having at least one or even multiple of the 16 tigers. So the only way to know exactly where your tigers are drinking is to take this map as reference, set the time to about 5:30 in the morning, and go to check all these red areas. It is completely up to you to decide what to do once you arrive these places, but you gotta keep in mind that each time you kill a tiger, that tiger will respawn on a different place within their home range, most likely. In my experience, it is very rare when they respawn on the exact same location because most of the times they are gonna respawn on a different place, which normally is not too far from the original zone, but we can't forget that on the last Dev Diary, which was dedicated exclusively to the tigers, they mentioned that the tiger home range is divided in 16 different sections, and each of those sections is guarded by a single tiger. So I think it is likely that each time a tiger respawns after being killed, it will respawn within the same section that was dedicated to him within the overall tiger home range. Ideally, if your plan is to set up a grind for these tigers, the best thing you could do is to place as many tents as possible, covering as many of the locations where they can drink as possible in order to minimize the amount of time it takes you to check all the places, because as I said earlier, these tigers are gonna keep respawning on different places over and over, so it's very important to constantly check all the locations if your goal is to grind them. So anyway, we're gonna start the hunt from this outpost about 6 AM, and I'ma start by checking all the ponds around this region. Every single of the ponds within this region can have tigers, so we gotta make sure to check them all, because all these ponds have a low chance of having a tiger drink zone, but you aren't gonna know exactly which in the case of your map until you check them all. It's gonna take us a while to explore all these locations, hence we're probably gonna need many time resets to keep hunting them inside their drink time. And the reason why we're starting at 6 AM instead of a couple hours earlier when their drink time starts is simply because, just as the majority of the species, most of the tigers are gonna show up on the second half of their drink time. And if you arrive too early to these zones, most of them won't be there yet, and you'll be wasting time. So for that reason we're starting at 6 AM, you can definitely start like 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and most of them are already gonna be at their zones, but I honestly prefer to start at this time just to be completely sure they are all already where they should be. Now, if I remember correctly, on this first lake I have a tiger drink zone already discovered. I don't remember if it was from a female or a male, but there's definitely tiger there. So we gotta be ready. Now let's see if this tiger is actually drinking. Yeah, right there. Is it a male? No, female. She's alert. Once a tiger goes alert, there are only two options. The first one is that it goes alert and then it goes aggressive, which is the most likely option. And the second one is that it goes alert and then it starts fleeing. So what is she gonna do? Oh, she returned to drink. Alright. She doesn't see us as a threat, eh? I may not be a threat to this tiger, but my 4-7 certainly is. Come on. What are you gonna do? Aggressive. Let's go. We gotta be fast or she's gonna kill us fast. Right at the shoulder. And that's it. You need to make sure to hit it viral once you shoot a tiger, because if you shoot him and you don't hit it viral, then you will be in trouble. It is gonna launch an attack and you will be dead in just a matter of seconds. Now this track is intriguing. Look at that estimate. Up to 324 kilos. That is a max estimate. What are the odds this is a level 9? I wanna think he's headed towards this lake because the tracks are kinda going in that direction. So maybe he is drinking there at the moment. And there's the growl. And you may be asking, why didn't I bring a dog with me knowing how useful they are against these tigers? Well, the reason is because I wanna make this more challenging. Simply because of that. And I guess he's there. Yeah, there he is. Level 8. Mythical Tiger. I was hoping it would be 9, but I'll take it. I mean, this guy is one of the biggest tigers I've seen so far, eh? Let's see a score. 54.28. It actually isn't too big, it has a weight of 273 kilos, which is very close to the bottom of the max weight estimate range, but it is certainly a big tiger. Huge tiger. Now, another thing you also need to know when it comes to hunting these guys, apart from all the weapons and the locations, is that it is possible to attract these tigers using the distress phone caller. Am I use it here? And as you can see, he responded. Of course, they have to be completely calm in order for this caller to work. I mean, don't try to call them in when they are stalking you, because you'll be in huge trouble since nothing's gonna happen. So only use it when it is completely necessary. Now, as you can see, we're currently hunting on the river that is located on the lower region of the reserve. This river may not be the best place to look for tigers, since as you can see, it is a lot of terrain to cover, and in my experience, you're only gonna find like 5 or 6 tigers on the entire river. Maybe less. So my advice to you would be to focus on hunting the lakes first and then continue with the river. You can definitely place a lot of tents on these locations, but as I mentioned earlier, you are gonna have to be constantly checking the rest of the locations since the tigers will keep respawning on different places. So the more of these potential areas you can cover with the 16 tents, the better.